everyone, welcome back to the Loopy Studio, and today I'm here with a movie review for you guys. I'm going to be talking about a new movie on Netflix, and it's called Incoming. Um, and here's the little summary. It says, four freshmen in high school get ready for their first school party. They're preparing themselves for something unfamiliar and terrifying. So this was quite the movie. I saw something about it beforehand, and it said something about high school, and I'm interested in pretty much all high school stuff. Like that's my favorite genre of stuff, just because I'm in high school, and maybe 10 years from now I won't find it as entertaining. Although I might actually like just if I like laugh at like if I laugh at these kids in high school. Um, but no, I watched it and it was definitely an interesting movie. I think there was a lot of realistic stuff in it and a lot of like stuff I really wanted to like turn the TV off, like that type of stuff. And so it was like a very like weird mixture of stuff and definitely one of the weirder movies I think I've seen, especially for this genre. So let's start off with the good. So I think the good is that they have a pretty good cast. I'm not going to read off every cast member, but I think all four of these freshmen, it's pretty realistic the types of stages that they're in. You have Benji, um, who he's kind of like an outcast, and he has a crush on his sister's best friend. I mean that's pretty realistic. And then you have Connor and Eddie. And I mean they kind of have are on their own mission, but like Connor, like it's called fetus, and Eddie doesn't have a good relationship with his stepdad. And then you have Koosh, who has an older brother and who's very popular, but he's not really popular either. But he's trying to get with a girl. So I think the overall aspect of these characters and their personalities are pretty realistic. I think I understood overall like where they were coming from and all of that. So that wasn't really a problem to me. Um, because again, this is very realistic. As a freshman, I went through some of the stuff that these kids went through. Like all of that made total sense to me. I think they portrayed it really well. And just the upperclassmen just being obnoxious and rude to the underclassmen. But then you also have the fresh, like at my school, the freshmen are the worst. So they didn't really portray that in this movie. They portrayed it as the upperclassmen are kind of like the obnoxious ones and the rude ones, and there it is partly that way. But to me personally, the freshmen of my school are so obnoxious, and I think I'm sure that's a way in a lot of cases. But I mean, I do think when you're a freshman, it's like the worst year of high school, mostly because it's not even the work that's super hard. It's just trying to find your cliques because you might go to a different school than some of your friends, or maybe those friendships that you had like they can't survive in high school because so much changes. Like there's so many instances where you have like for a friend or even multiple friends, and you just change in high school. Like you join different clubs, you just get different interests, and you're just not the same as it used to be. And then you have to move on, find new friends. And it's kind of that way all the way through high school. But freshman year's the worst because there's always that, like, you always have friends that are just have changed over the summer, like between eighth grade and freshman year, and you know, and then you have to like find your new friends, and here, you have these four friends or whatever. I mean, I do think maybe they should have had more scenes with like the four of them, to like really establish their friendship. And yeah, I think I'm going to say this a lot throughout this review is that it's an 80-minute movie. Like, there's not enough time to really what is it like dive deep into the characters and like a lot of that specific stuff. And to me it was weird, like I don't know, like 80 minutes like for this, like why do it, why not make it into a TV show? I don't know, like that to me personally they could have done like a 6 or an 8 episode show with this and just dragged out some certain parts, expand on it. But instead it just felt very like weirdly paced and like just the way that they wrote it, and it just felt like we barely got to dive into some of the big stuff, but a lot of the little stuff that we got was pretty good. Again, like showing these characters insecurities and all of that. You had again Benj and showing like he's starting to like fit into like the wrong group of people with his um his Uber, not really Uber, but the driver who's taking him to school, and the drug deals and all of that. And like I mean that's what like people do in school, as weird as it is. I don't get it, but that's what happens. That's pretty realistic too. And like freshmen getting caught up in the wrong things, that's super realistic. So I think all of that really made sense to me. But again, like there's just not enough time to dive into characters. However, what I will say is that Benji, probably out of the four of them, got like the most development as a character, and like I understood like where he started and where he ended. Even if the ending was kind of like sad and humiliating for him. Um, but like to me personally, it did feel kind of weird. Like I didn't think she showed like a whole lot of interest throughout it, and like, but you know, it's cool that she did. I don't think that's super realistic though. For a freshman and a sophomore to just randomly get together like that and just like on the fly like that, I think that was kind of weird. But whatever, that's pretty minor in the grand scheme of things. But and then you know they kissed at the party, and you know once again I thought it was going in the direction that she was going to friend zone him or something, but it actually didn't happen that way. But then it kind of did at the end, so that was kind of weird. But the other plot lines, we have Koosh, and you know his older brother is very popular, but he's claiming that they're throwing this party together. Well, it's actually his brother's party, but he wants to get with an upperclassman, so he pretty much just like gets this girl to go into like this suite, and he's trying to like hook up with her, I guess. I mean, it was kind of like cringe, a lot of this. And then it ends up getting revealed that he locked her in there, or like he locked them in there on purpose, and then she gets fed up with it and leaves. Now, personally, there's no way that would have slid. Like there's no freaking way. Like she would have known something was up. Like that wasn't realistic at all. And again, but maybe it was because you know she was probably drinking, but she didn't really seem drunk, to be honest. Like maybe she just wasn't thinking straight. I don't know, but that was like, what the heck? Like there's no way. They're smarter than that. They would have clearly caught on to what this freshman was doing. Um, so yeah, there was that plot line or whatever. But once again, I think they could have developed more of the relationship between him and his brother. And you know, if they had like a whole show to do that, then it would have made more sense. But you know, once again, like I feel like every character except Benji just didn't get enough time to shine because it was an 80-minute movie, and that's like it. So like it was just a weird choice to make it into a movie. They should have at least made it like closer to 2 hours, in my opinion, or at least like I don't know, like an hour. And I mean, an hour and a half wouldn't have made much difference, but like hour and 45, I don't know, like at least like an 100-minute movie, I would say. So like at least an hour and 40 minutes, I think, is what the movie needed, just with everything they had going on, because there was a lot of characters to like to keep track of. Like you need more time to really develop a story. I mean, unless we're getting a sequel, but I highly doubt it. This movie has not gotten good ratings. But like the other plot lines, we have Connor and Eddie on their own mission, and this just made me cringe. I'm sorry. There's just no way that like they would have gotten in that situation. Um, in the first place, I think the shit in the backseat of the car was very disgusting, and that made me want to turn the TV off. Like just stop. Like that just, ugh. I don't know. I think a lot of people felt the same way. Like it just stuff like that. I just don't want to see. And something similar happened in Cobra Kai, where a character just pretty much just shit their pants and like on screen, and it just like I don't like watching that type of stuff. It's just gross humor, and maybe for like this type of movie, it made sense. I don't know. It was just very like disgusting and not something I want to see on my TV. And just how much they showed of it too was just odd. Um, yeah, so not a fan of that. But I mean, it kind of was funny. There was some like funny stuff between and that whole like montage of everything and like spraying her down. I mean, whatever. I mean, I'm glad they didn't like take advantage of her and they didn't go in that direction. Um, but like, I'm like, no, there's no way that would have happened though. And like, why wouldn't you have just taken her directly? Like, why wouldn't you have looked at her license first? Like, why did that not pop into their minds? And why didn't you take her there right away? Like, that was odd to me. Like, come on, kids. Or really, you should have just like you shouldn't have taken her with you. That was a mistake. But again, whatever. They were trying to do like the comedic relief type of thing. Um, the other thing about all this was Eddie has this whole plot line with his stepdad because he doesn't get along with him at all. And it was weird because there just wasn't enough time to develop that. Like there was like two scenes with it. Um, because I think it had a lot of potential, and if they had dragged it out more, then maybe that ending scene with him kind of standing up to Dennis would have had more impact. But it really didn't end up having any impact. It just felt weird. I think the biggest problem with this movie, it wasn't even the gross out humor, because I mean, sure, it was kind of like ill, but like it did, that wasn't the problem. It was just that whatever potential some of this stuff had just wasn't given enough time. And like, but like the stuff like being peer pressure into doing the kita that was wild. Off of the girl's like belly, and like that, I mean, that's getting peer pressure to do that at a party would, yeah, be pretty realistic. um but no, the ending scene was like, it just seemed too good to be true. But what I will say, that was not realistic. Unless they were like a really popular kid, there's no way you would have gotten the whole auditorium singing something like that. There's just no freaking way that would not have happened. So like I was kind of cringing during some of that, and then when she said no to him, like when Bailey said no to Benji, that was like upsetting. Like that's my worst nightmare. Like, but like I mean, and I get they were like take a risk, all of that, but like no, not that type of risk. Like that took guts. And then the ending, like she winked at him. So like, what does that even mean? Like, is she actually interested in him? Um, I don't know. That again, so rushed. Like, and even that was the only plot line that didn't feel rushed to me. Like the Benji and Bailey, but they ended it so weirdly. Um, I don't know. Just it was interesting. The other interesting scene was between Alyssa, I think that was his sister's name, and Koosh, and they were in the hospital because Koosh slipped and broke his collarbone, and then she got like punched in the nose or something. Um, and they talk about how, she's like still a good person deep down. And once again, like we didn't get enough of her insecurities. I mean, maybe we got enough. I don't know. I think it's just hard to like really judge because um I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of rambling at this point, but no, that scene was whatever. But I think this movie had a lot of potential to be something good because there is something really realistic about like freshmen and like their first days of high school and wanting to fit in. But I think they missed the mark in a lot of regards of having it be rushed, the storytelling, because a lot of what we got was like decent stuff, except maybe the shit in the backseat. That was not very pleasant to see, and they could have done away with that. And then the whole like teacher thing showing up at the party, there's no way that would have slid in real life, and everything that happened with him, like him staying at the party the whole time. Well, no, he shouldn't have showed up at the party in the first place. That was stupid. I mean, it was kind of funny, but whatever. Like that, like, no, no, just weird. Um, but no, it was overall an okay movie, not a great movie, like maybe like a B. Again, I think there were some good themes thrown in it, like, having an older brother and feeling like an underdog in that sense, having like a stepfather that you don't like and that who doesn't value for who you are, even like feeling insecure because of your body and like doing something like getting like a nose makeover or stuff like that. That's all realistic. And like having a crush on your sister's best friend, realistic. All of that made sense to me. I just think the pacing of it was a bit of a problem. But it wasn't like a deal breaker to me. It was still a decent movie, not a great movie. Probably won't watch again just for that one scene. I'm not going to recommend it to anyone in particular, but it wasn't like an awful movie either. So I'm just going to go with that. So yeah, comment down below if you watched this movie. What do you think of it? And I'll be back soon with another video. So thanks everyone for watching, and bye everyone.